Hey, what's up all you beautiful garden people? My name's Kevin Jordan, host of the Green Acres Garden Podcast. I'm out at the Green Acres out in Folsom, California, here with the Crimson Queen of the Garden, Kiki. We're talking pollinators today. So Kiki, what are pollinators and why do we want more of them in our landscapes?
Pollinators are little insects or small animals. They basically fly or go from flower to flower, and it basically fertilizes that thing. Oftentimes it turns into fruit. So pollinators, why do we need them? Because probably the third bite of food you have every day was pollinated by something.
Absolutely. So much of what we eat is pollinated by pollinators, or comes from pollinators. We're going to talk bees, we're talking butterflies, and we're talking hummingbirds specifically. But guess what? There's tons of different pollinators out there. And today we're going to talk all about how to lure them into your landscape with a lot of different strategies. So what do you got here for me, Kiki?
So bees, let's talk about bees.
Oh yeah.
First off, everybody thinks of honeybees, right?
You know it.
Those are little European imports.
Okay.
In North America, there are, and in this area of 9B, there's at least 1,600 different types of native bees.
That's a few.
So what do we want to draw them to? So first and foremost, bees, love things that have oils in them. So like rosemary, lavender, things like that are going to be great. And these are also really early bloomers in the spring. And you will see probably the first ones to come will be your native bees.
Love it.
And the native bees, again, remember, they're solitary. They make nests in the ground, in dead wood, in the sand, in old sticks sometimes, right? And so you really want to be able to bring them into your garden because the native bees are almost better pollinators than the honeybees are.
Good to know. So, of course, lavender, rosemary, those are tried and true classics.
So you'll also notice bees really love the color purple, blues, violets, yellow are just the two that stand out to me right now. In my garden, this is my favorite plant, the Mystic Spires Blue Sage. This sage is amazing. It blooms pretty much all year long at my house. I cut it back twice a year. It gets 3 to 4 feet tall.
Pretty good size.
And it's covered with pollinators. When you're planting for pollinators, you always want to make sure you're planting in clusters of 3 or 5. And so you have big swaths of colors. So at my house, when you come up to my house, they're lining the whole front of my house are just these plants.
Love it. So now, those are some of the kind of medium-sized plants. Do we have anything that will stay close to the ground and also bring in some bees?
Absolutely. So we've got creeping thyme.
Oh, this is great. So if you need something to cover up as a ground cover that is tough and rugged, this is a great option. And look at that. It doesn't get very tall at all.
And gazanias. Gazanias are quite magical.
Oh yeah.
They look fantastic.
Look at that.
And also,
beautiful.
Just to bring in some really good regular landscape plants, Myoporum here in 9B. It's an evergreen here. It gets covered in these flowers and you will see bees all over it.
And that is one tough plant, I'll tell you what.
Very tough.
Oh, yeah.
Low water, you name it.
Now, can we go a little higher into the canopy? Can we get some a little taller?
Absolutely. Then we can go into a crepe myrtle here.
That is one dark-leafed crepe myrtle. Look at that.
It's called coconut.
Okay.
Right? So these big clusters of blooms will bloom for several months out throughout the summertime here, and it'll be covered in bees. And the birds will also like to eat the seed pods at the end of this.
Yep.
So it's a win-win.
These are great. Yep. Love those.
Another fantastic thing to bring in your garden is a vine, like the star jasmine. You also want to bring fragrance into your garden because that's also a big draw. When things smell good, like the rosemary, lavender, jasmine, they will come running.
So I think we found we can bring bees in with ground cover, with smaller plants, and even some of our taller plants on up to your vines. Now I'm stoked on the bees, but I'm really excited to learn more about some of the butterflies and the hummingbirds. Can we move on and learn a bit about those butterflies?
Absolutely.
So Kiki, bees are awesome, but there's nothing as magical as seeing some butterflies, flying through your garden. So how can I lure more butterflies into my garden? I like those magical moments. Please, illuminate.
I do too. So the main thing is you really want lots of color, and you definitely want lots of different pollinating plants. So what butterflies particularly like is they're big. If you think about a monarch butterfly, it is a large butterfly.
Oh yeah, they got good size.
Right? So it needs something to land on. It doesn't want something small. So they usually want a little landing pad, like these coneflowers are awesome.
Yeah, echinacea is gorgeous.
Right? And the heliotrope also is kind of flat, so they also really seem to be drawn to cluster-like flowers. A great 9B native here, yarrow, is also a perfect example of that flat top clusters. And you
Perfect
can also,
little landing pad right there.
Exactly, and you can also see the colors. So
They're gorgeous.
they are coming through to get nourishment and lots of nectar from your garden. So there's also some really good workhorses that you can have.
Oh yeah.
Like butterfly bushes are a super draw, as well as lantana. Also, having butterfly weed or milkweed in your garden. This specifically, so we can talk about drawing butterflies and pollinators in your garden in two ways. One, that they are just coming in and they're taking the nectar, but also, do you guys want them to move in? Right?
I want both.
Do you, right? So
Hopefully.
if they're, with butterflies, they need a host plant. Certain butterflies only will lay their eggs on certain plants. And then that also means that if you want that to happen, that you're gonna be cool with little caterpillars eating your plants, because that's what they do.
So from bees to butterflies to hummingbirds, lay it on me.
All
How
right.
can we bring in hummingbird? Hummingbirds are gorgeous. I want more of them in my
Yes.
life, please.
Also, amazing little migrators, depending on where you live in our beautiful America. Here in zone 9B, for example, at my house, I live down the road. They live with me all year long. So I really focus on plants that they can feed on in the wintertime, in the springtime, in the summertime, and in fall. And here we have a variety. So in the wintertime, one of the great little workhorses is this shrub that is called grevillea. These little buds haven't even come out yet. They're gonna actually come out and look like they have little legs that have formed on them. But this guy blooms in the wintertime and pretty much throughout the seasons. And it is a hummingbird favorite.
Love it. Yeah, these are pretty.
And they're so hardy. They're
It's a rugged
drought-tolerant,
shrub.
very.
Yeah, once it gets established, these ones are more difficult to kill than to keep alive, thankfully.
Another one is, this is probably one of the most well-known
This is my go-to.
salvias, right?
Yeah.
It's called hot lips, where it's got the white and the red. Red, without a doubt, and oranges are some of the hummingbird's most favorite colors to go for. And this one, this will become like a little shrub where you just want to cut it back in the wintertime.
Yeah.
But these guys are also very, very hardy. They will produce a ton of flowers. And you want to really make sure that once your flowers are blooming, that you are giving them some organic fertilizer to keep the bloom going for as long as you can.
They're awesome. I have those in my front yard, and right now there is a battle going on between the bees and the hummingbirds on who gets to drink off each flower. They love it.
This is also a type of salvia, and you can see here with the little tubular ends. This
Those
is
blossoms. Woo!
If you guys have never seen it, hummingbirds have really long tongues, and they basically stick their tongues in to get the nectar and to feed on this.
Yeah, their tongues wrap around their skull.
It's
and come out.
crazy.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about, maybe you have a,
Oh yeah, look at that Hesperaloe. These
Yes.
are really pretty. Actually, a lot of the Green Acres locations will have these planted in their parking lots. Actually, I've seen one at the Citrus Heights location, and they're gorgeous. They've gotten a little bit more established, and they
it's
are
the
looking good.
like, red yucca. These guys bloom and will last for quite a while, and the hummingbirds absolutely love it. So if you make more of a desert, a super low water landscape, this or other little succulents, like you can see, they create these
beautiful.
amazing flowers that they totally love to feed nectar on.
Yeah, so you don't need a lot of water to feed a lot of creatures. So far we've learned a lot about how to bring in pollinators with plants, but is there anything that we can do, Kiki, to help bring in those pollinators that isn't necessarily plants?
Yes, water.
Okay.
Water first and foremost. For the hummingbirds, a really good fountain.
Ooh, is that what this is?
What's great about this one is that it just bubbles up. The thing is, birds, you really want to make it so that it's easy for them to step on. They don't know the depth of water, especially hummingbirds. You see this little guy? He's going to be right on the surface. It's easy for him to
he's a little indicator.
take a bath, right?
Yeah.
So you want to set up bird baths, all different kinds of bird baths. Water is important. So for butterflies, they want water and salt and minerals too, especially the males. So we can set up a little puddle center. You can just use a saucer, put some sand, maybe 2 tablespoons of potting soil in it, even add a little pinch of salt, mix that together, put a rock on it. The rock is so the butterfly can come and warm itself, put it in the sun, and see the magic happen, because it'll draw those butterflies in for, you know, minerals and water.
All right, little rehydration station for our butterfly friends. What else do you have here that'll really cap things off?
So hummingbird feeders are always great. I have some near my windows in my kitchen. Most people do. And it's just so fun to see them come in. They will always pick your native flowers first. But you know, when it gets cold outside, mine live with me year long. I just like to give them a little bit of extra sauce. And it's very easy. 1 cup of regular granulated sugar to 4 parts water. So there's sometimes really cool little feeders like this where you can put in fruit. And this also, surprisingly enough, works great for hummingbirds, because if you put in little chunks of banana, as it rots and ferments in the sun, guess what shows up? Little fruit flies.
And that's a good thing?
And guess who eats the fruit flies? Right?
There we
go. So if you really want to make sure that you have something for the hummingbirds, especially while they are breeding, do something like this. It's awesome.
Yeah, get your hummingbirds some protein.
That's right. And then, of course, you want to just have regular bird feeders for all your other birds, because biodiversity in your garden is fantastic. So you're drawing in all of these insects, which will draw in birds, it'll draw in lizards, and that will help keep a check on all of those insects as well.
Balance
and then,
is
you know,
good.
balance is great. And if you put in bird houses, that will also really draw them in.
It's so fun to see when it actually works. So now when we're feeding our pollinators, it's important, a lot of our plants that you showed us, they're super heavy bloomers. They bloom and bloom and bloom, they put out a lot. And so I think we want to keep those blossoms coming. So what is the best way to do that?
Absolutely. So at the beginning of every spring, first and foremost, you should always be putting some fresh fertilizer down for everything in your yard. And even if you can, a fresh layer of soil, which is great. Right?
Mulch and compost.
Yes. But for these guys, because we really want to entice all these fabulous insects and birds, we really want to go organic.
Of course, we love pollinators. I love them, but don't just take it from me. You heard it from Kiki, the Crimson Queen of the garden. So thank you so much, Kiki. Until next time.
Oh, you're the best.